Hi everyone, today we're looking at the Song of Moses. I will proclaim the name of Yahweh, praise the greatness of our God. The rock, his work is perfect and all his ways are just. A faithful God without deceit, just and upright is he. Yet his corrupt children have dealt falsely with him, a twisted and perverse generation. You deserted the rock that bore you. You forgot the God who gave you birth. How could one have chased 1,000 or two make 10,000 flee unless their rock had sold them over, or had sold them and Yahweh had handed them over? But Yahweh will vindicate his people and have compassion on his servants. When he sees that their strength is gone, neither slave nor free remaining, then he will ask, where are their gods, the rocks in which they took refuge? So this is just a selection from this long song, this chapter, and it's really recounting the story of Israel, which is really also the story of humanity. A story of redemption, but then rebellion and rejection, and finally restoration, right? And it's like a song that's on repeat. It just goes over and over throughout Israel's history and often our own history. It starts with the idea that God is faithful, right? God has done powerful works for us. God is stable and secure as a rock. That's one of the metaphors that keeps coming up. But in response to what God does, we just say, forget you, right? We go and we serve our own interests. We think we know what's best. And that has consequences. We talked earlier this week about the idea of God's discipline and God handing us over to what we think we want, and then we experience what happens when we get what we want, and it's not good. It's the same idea here. This idea of God as a rock. Well, what happens if you jump off of a cliff? I remember once a few summers ago, I went cliff diving at a lake, and it was a little too high, and I still have some back pain from that experience. Did that rock punish me? Well, no, it's kind of the result of my own choices. And so, when I said the cycle is rejection here, that's probably not the best word for what God is doing, and I wanted the alliteration. However we label what happens there, it's not the end of the song. It always ends with God's restoration. So as you think about this cycle of redemption, rebellion, rejection, and restoration, where are you at right now? Suffering, if you're going through that, it's not always your fault, right? Deuteronomy, as we've mentioned, is very black and white, and life isn't always that simple. But the truth is we're often hurting ourselves somehow, if we can be honest about it. I think the most important thing to realize through this is no matter what, God will not give up on you. We need to know what choices we're making aren't giving life, so that we can turn back to the God who gives us birth.